everybody, and welcome back to the Pink Pill. Your girl is back. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the latest social media outrage. They happen every 5 minutes, and we are going to explore this little bit of 5 minutes together. So walk this journey with me, ladies and gentlemen. In the latest social media outrage, as usual, Black men and women are sparring online about a woman who was hit with a brick because she declined the advances of a man who must have only been interested in her as a sexual object. Do you know why I made that assumption? Because surely it couldn't have been because he wanted a life partner, because people who want life partners don't hit them with bricks. Okay.
Anybody. Literally, a man asked me for my number. I said no, and he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, "What you gonna do?" And I told all these men, like, "Yo, why this man got a brick on my face?" And he's holding a brick, and all these niggas is watching, and nobody does nothing. And he hits me in my face, and then they all just watch. And they let that nigga get in a corner. How is this okay? This is what y'all doing to women?
As usual, Black women are outraged at the lack of protection and support she didn't have, as other men observed and did nothing. And inevitably, the conversations from Black men on social media revolved around whether or not Black women deserve to be protected by random Black men. Okay, well, let's go with that.
If some dude hits you with a brick, that's assault with a deadly weapon. Call the police. Call the police. You ain't no problem calling on your boyfriend. That's what's so ironic about it. When y'all get into sticky situations, the first thing you yell out for is a Black man. But if you in a situation in your household, first thing you yell for is the police. I mean, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Like, make it make sense. Don't want traditional relationships, but want traditional protection. We'll see how that goes. Exactly. Sean says she wants traditionalism now that she looked like Martin when he fought Tommy, the hitman Hearns. Yeah.
Should Black men protect random Black women outside of their mothers, aunties, sisters, cousins, maybe their kindergarten teacher, their babysitter? I don't know. Maybe that girl who gave him some when she was babysitting him. Anyway, we're just going to keep going on this. Should they protect? Should Black men protect random Black women outside of their mothers, aunties, sisters, and cousins? My answer is this: they do, if they want to be respected as patriarchs. The conversations emerge as Black men saying that they need certain behaviors and characteristics visible in order for them to feel compelled for protecting. And so basically, in fact, you as a Black woman, as a matter of fact, you need to have a certain criteria about whether or not you should be protected. I'm talking about these types of men who have these types of conversations. So let's be clear. So let's explore what those things are. Imagine, if you will, going to the police force run by men who thought like this. A Black woman comes into the station to report a crime against her son, injustice. What might the questioning be? Here's what I think it might be. So in order for you to be protected by this imaginary police force, by men who think that you need to have certain criteria present in order for them to feel compelled to protect you, these are the lines of questionings that I suppose in my head they might ask. Here are what they are. Do you have a low body count, or are you for the streets? Girl, is that your real hair? Were you wearing that weave and butterfly eyelashes at the time? Are you a multiple baby mama to a Pookie and a Ray Ray? Did you give the nice guy or the educated lame a chance? Did you give that boy in high school with the pimples on his forehead and ears a chance when he gave you a flower on Valentine's Day? Have you ever dated a white man, and was it the white man who did this to you? Why didn't you go to your father or brother for justice before you came to the police? How feminine were you behaving when this happened? Do you listen to Doja Cat, Saweetie, Cardi B, or Beyonce? We're going to need evidence by looking at your music library. How much makeup did you have on when this happened to you? Are you a feminist? Do you love black men? Show me the proof. Like right now, show me the proof that you love black men. In contrast, and not speaking on individuals, I'm talking about the system created by the dominant society. And right now we know it's white men. They have laws, policies, procedures in place to protect women regardless of how they dress, how skinny or obese they are, how promiscuous or saintly, how beautiful or ugly, whether they are a baby mama or not, whether they are married or not, gay or straight, man-hating or man-loving. These are policies that are firmly in place in the year of our Lord 2023. Has it always been that way? No. But policies, laws, and procedures evolved as the men in power became more enlightened. I find that black men want the white man's patriarchy of the old days, when they believed that women were inherently inferior and you were deemed a slut and not deserving anything if you did not behave in the ways in which they said that you were supposed to. The men in power listened to the pain and plight of their women and realized that if they wanted to still get laid, they were going to have to make some changes. Because the women were saying, it's going to be this or you ain't getting none of that. Okay? But how is it that the civilization that was most civilized way before the so-called caveman ever left the cave has not evolved enough not to want the white man's patriarchy from 1823 instead of the white man's patriarchy of 2023? Perhaps bell hooks can add some insight into why black American men in particular don't feel the need to protect women who are not directly related to them. Ladies, this is ancient. Think twice before you spend your energy and breath on trying to get them to understand you, because it just might not be in the cards. From the moment the tried leaders brokered with white slave merchants for handkerchiefs, rum, and guns, the male captives of tribal warmongers enjoyed the spoils of war, did not, nor did they ever feel the need to protect all black women. Y'all, it was never a thing. It was never a thing. From Bell Hooks' book, authored in 1981, titled Ain't I a Woman, she lays bare the dynamic that we still feel the effects of from today. This is not unusual for black men to sit silently while black women are being violated. The assumption that black male slaves, this goes way back to slavery, felt the need to protect all black women, according to Bell Hooks, is historically inaccurate. This is a quote from her book. I recommend you get it. An examination of many traditional societies' attitudes towards women reveals that African men were not taught to see themselves as the protectors of all women. They were taught to assume responsibility for the particular woman of their tribe and community. Does this sound familiar? If she ain't my mama, if she ain't my auntie, if she ain't my cousin, if she ain't my girl, I ain't doing nothing. The socialization of African men to see themselves as the owners of all black women and to regard them as property they should protect occurred after long years of slavery and as a result of bonding on the basis of color, rather than shared tribal connections or language. Prior to the adoption of white American sexist attitudes towards women, there was no reason for enslaved African men to feel responsible for all enslaved African women. Assuredly, the sexual assault of black women had an impact on the psyches of black male slaves. It is likely that the black male slave did not feel, though, demoralized or dehumanized because his women were being raped, but that he did feel terrorized by the knowledge that white men were willing to brutalize and victimize black women, and girls who represented no great threat to their authority might easily have no qualms about totally annihilating black men. I want you to understand what I just read. Yes, they were upset to see black women and girls being violated because they understood their inherent vulnerability. But they didn't feel the need to protect women and girls that were not from their tribe. They were afraid because they thought, well, if they can do this to girls and women, what will they do to me? And I ask you this question. Has that attitude changed much since then? So, to continue the quote, most black male slaves stood quietly by as white masters sexually assaulted and brutalized black women and were not compelled to act as protectors. Their first instinct was self-preservation. Their first instinct was self-preservation. And I'm talking about black American men. Based on this, it makes sense why black American men, who are by far the descendants of these slaves, would have the same mentality. So the next time you hear a black man say that unless you're part of my family or my woman, I'm not sticking my neck out, hopefully this will give you some historical reference to make sense of why we see very little protection coming our way from our community. This is not de-evolution. This is stasis in evolution. Not wanting to protect the women under your patriarchy who don't look or act the way that you like to in a modern society is regressive, not progressive. Ladies, stop being outraged. Stop trying to be understood. They're still in the 18 and 1950s. They don't live in a progressive society that respects a more benevolent patriarchy. Remember that list I gave you earlier in the scenario in what a police force would look like under that kind of patriarchy? If you are not the perfect victim or you aesthetically don't fit the bill, you won't enjoy any kind of protection. Remember that saying, if you build it, they will come? But what if what you built is broken and only works whimsically, and only if the person that you say that you want to protect behaves in the way that you want to, that you can count on that protection and you can predict the outcome that doesn't fit that bill? In other words, in a patriarchy that is built on in other words, in a patriarchy that is predicated on your behavior in order for you to get the benefits, understand that that whimsical decision means that the person in charge can change what it is that they want on a whim in order to justify not protecting you. You have to build it first if you want them to come. And the building needs to be solid. I know that there will be those who will discount my opinion, and that's fine. You have the right to do that. You may think that this commentary means that I hate black men. The truth is, I am indifferent. There's too much energy required to hate. I'm not saying to hate anybody, but for your own safety, your own security, and your own well-being, you don't need to hate either. But what you do need to do is evaluate. Don't judge them what they say. Judge them by what they do. And under this patriarchy, the men historically, genetically, epigenetically, do not see the need to protect women that don't belong to them in some way or another. With that knowledge, ladies, you have to act accordingly. They don't believe you need it. They don't believe you deserve it. And yet they want to be on par with other patriarchies who protect regardless of whether the women are doing what they want them to do. It is not a quid pro quo situation. That is how modern day patriarchy works. This is not the 18th and 19th century patriarchies. The fact that black men want us to live in that is a disgrace. But more on that later. Make sure that you subscribe because I got a lot more to say. I've been pinning it up for a long time. So make sure that you subscribe because I got more coming. All right, guys, until next outrage, I am the Pink Pill, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.